Hey, my fellow business development buddies. I love business development. I'm going to just do a little data dump here and share with you some of my experience and thoughts and innovations on business development in hopes that it will help you do your job well and develop business for your organization. A little bit about me. I'm Dennis the Apprentice. I did a lot of odd jobs back in the day. I did construction. I got into sales. I did telemarketing. A couple things that I didn't realize were relevant in my life until later was when I was in my early 20s, I built a rental car agency I was given 7 cars, and I built it up to 47 cars in 3 or 4 months. And I did that by developing business. I was the business development person. I was my only employee, but I built that using some of the methods that I'm going to talk about today. And then I owned a Zoom Drain franchise, and Zoom Drain I just call it a fresh take on Roto-Rooter, except we did drain work for plumbers and contractors that didn't like to do drain work or didn't want to do drain work. And we also went out, so I developed relationships with contractors, and then I also developed relationships with property managers. And today I'm going to share with you some of the things I did to do that really well. And we built a Zoom Drain franchise up to, it was well over $2 million. It only took a couple years. And my last week, I had 12 different plumbing companies call me for work. And I did all that on 1 day a week, doing what I'm going to share with you today. And so I do speak from experience. I've had success, and a lot of what I talk about comes from 2 main books. One book is Harvey Mackay's book, How to Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive. And you can get that on Audible. Harvey Mackay was, he's still alive. He's one of those old gurus that, I have pictures of old gurus that I really admire, and he's one I missed. I don't think he's in circulation anymore. But Harvey Mackay he bought and built a envelope company, I think back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And he did very well. It built a giant business. And How to Swim with the Sharks Without Getting Eaten Alive has a lot to do with outside sales. It has a lot to do with business development. So I learned a lot from that book. You can get it on Audible, and I suggest that you do, and you should read it. Also, Gary Vaynerchuk, jab, 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 right hook, which means give, 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 ask. The idea is giving value more than you ask for something. And I love that. And then the other thing, the other part of my principle comes from at my primary company, Gene Johnson Plumbing and Heating, which I owned for 23 years, and we sold in 2023. At one point, we had more reviews than anybody, I think, in the state of Washington. There might have been one company that had more reviews than us on the other side of the state. But for a time, we had the most reviews of any company. And then we split. Then we had 2 branches, and then we started to separate our reviews between 2 branches, and other people passed us. And when we started the focus on that, we were way behind. But some of the principles I'm going to talk about today, we used to do that as well. So that's kind of the experience I come from. So here is here's a lot of my passion about this, about the business development role in a company. Twice I hired that position. At Zoom Drain, we hired somebody to do that work. And I kind of trained them and told them what to do, and then sent them on their way. They had a base salary, and they got a spiff for if they brought in revenue or calls came because of them. And after 3 months, nothing really happened, and they left. And then I hired someone else and trained them up, and they were busy. They would take off and be gone. But I really don't know what they did, or I don't know if they had a methodology to their thing. But after 3 or 4 months, they up and left, and there we are. So then it fell on me to do that job, and I'm already running a Gene Johnson Plumbing, and I've got a lot going on. So I just devoted 1 day a week to doing what I've already proven to do in my past, and it worked. And so part of my passion behind this, behind me training outside sales reps, business development personnel, is because the reason you're hired is to develop business. And that's actually a very measurable thing to do. And if you're not bringing in business, truthfully, you're just a weight on the business. You're an overhead burden, and you're not gonna stay on the books for long, and they're not gonna keep you around, and you're not gonna enjoy your job because you won't have any success if you're not building business. However, if you do build business, it can be a fun job. Like, no one's really looking over your shoulder. You're just going out and meeting people and building relationships. And it's a great job, but you do have to have results. And I discover a lot of people they can stay busy, but it doesn't seem like so many business development people understand how to get results. So we're going to talk about that. So yeah, your job is to build business. And if you do it, it's fun. And if you don't do it, you're not going to last long. You're probably going to quit anyway. And you'll move on to something else. So why not figure this out, right? And I think most people I talk to are in the trades, and so the trades are a great place to be. And the other thing is the power of associations. So no matter what you're trying to develop, I was talking to a friend that he represents his company. They do handicap equipment, wheelchairs and ramps and walkers and stuff like that. So how to build the business, how to build this business. Well, he needs to get in front of doctors. Well, do you know there's a Washington Doctor Association, a Washington Surgeon Association, and if he would get involved with that association, he would start to build relationships and start to he'd start to be known by those that he wants to be known by. And so no matter what you're doing, there's usually an association for it. And I'm a huge fan of being connected to association, and here's why. If you're not connected to an association, then all you do is go pitch your thing. And after you do it a couple times, here's the other side of why I'm passionate about this. I used to be a contractor that a lot of business development people call on. So I know both sides of it. And here's what would happen. After a couple times, I get to know who this person is and what they are pitching, what they represent. And when I see them coming, when I see their car pull up, if I'm not interested, if they take too much time out of my day, if I'm too busy, I disappear. I find ways to be busy. I get stuck on the phone. So as a business development person, do you have a hard time getting in front of the right people and making your pitch? Well, it's because they already know the pitch and they're not interested. And so that's what kind of call is that when you go and no one will get a hold of you and you drop off your pens and whatever and you leave? It's kind of lame, right? But when you're a member of an association, you get to know the language of who you represent and who you're calling on. So I will just use what I did as an example. When I was pitching drain cleaning to plumbing contractors. And first of all, how would I do it? So at first I started, I'm going to go in person. Well, in Seattle, to go visit in person, after 3 or 4 or 5 visits, you're exhausted. You've been in your car all day. You've probably seen 1 or 2 people, and the day's over. And I have a question for you. Yeah, you stayed busy, and you can write down on your time card, this is what you did. This is the effort you put in, but was it productive? And I suggest that it wasn't. So here's what I did. And I learned this some from Zoom Drain as well. I picked a list of like 100 plumbing companies that I wanted to call on, I'm like, here's 100 plumbing companies, and this is my list that I'm going to work. So I narrowed it. I don't just go out into the wide world. I started out with 100 companies. So on Tuesdays, I built that list. So it took me a Tuesday or 2 to build that list. Then I put it on a Excel spreadsheet. Then I would start to fill in information. Do they have a website? I'd look at the website, and I'd look and see if they had a Facebook page or social media. And I'd get to know them a little bit. And then I would send them an email if I could and introduce myself. And here's how I introduce myself. I would never pitch them on what I was trying to do on my service. So I would use common ground. So at the time, I was the past president of PHCC, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of America. And I would do something like I would let them know, I wanted to make sure that you were aware that there was a lunch and learn, or there was an event coming up that I thought they might be interested in. That's what I would do in an email or a text. And then at the bottom, when I would sign my name on the email, whatever, it'd say Dennis Hamon, Zoom Drain franchise. And so they could see who it was from. And that's what I would do on emails, on texts. If I made a phone call, I would say, I'm Dennis. I'm the past president of PHCC, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors. I also own the local Zoom Drain franchise here in Seattle, with those red and blue trucks you see driving around. The reason I'm calling is we've had some contractors that are having trouble with inspectors going onto their job site and writing them up when wrongfully and harassing them. And I'm wondering if you're having that kind of a problem. And they're like, wait, who are you again? I'm like, oh, I'm Dennis. I'm the past president of the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors. And we represent plumbing, heating, cooling contractors in Washington. And we've had some contractors up in the Bellingham area have trouble. And I'm wondering if you're having that trouble here in Seattle. And they go, oh, yeah. And then we'd start talking. And they'd say, wait, what is Zoom Drain? I'm like, Zoom Drain. We do drain work for plumbing companies, contractors that don't like to or can't, so you see they're asking. I'm not saying, hey, do you want to buy my services, or please use me. They asked me because I asked them, and so I got this routine of I wanted it to be as warm of a conversation as possible. So I would usually email them. I would text them if I could. I would call them and mail them. I'd mail them first, actually. So by the time I get an in-call, they've usually got something in the mail. They've seen an email. They've seen a text. So now I'm calling, and that's usually my 4th contact. Does that make sense? I'm not going in person yet. And so that's what I would do. And in my mailer, I would mail an invitation. I would mail an invitation to something I thought they would find valuable. Whether it was a plumber's convention or a golf tournament, right? An invitation to a plumbing and heating contractor golf tournament. And then in that, I would also insert a little postcard or something about my company. And sometimes it was as simple as I would just type up a little insert on a piece of paper that just says, hey, we're Zoom Drain. We do drain work for plumbers that don't like to or can't get to a call for some reason. Right? That's it. Hope you're well. No ask for the sale. Just let them know what I did, and then an invitation to something that they might find productive or helpful for them, right? Or fun. That's jab, jab, jab. Right hook. Eventually, they're going to ask me about me. I'm going to say, oh, I'd sure love to do your drain work, right? And now we have a conversation. But I've done several things to warm up. I've given. I've not just gone in and asked for the sale. What I've done is become a resource to them. With property managers, if they had an office, I had property managers, and what I would do, here's a little secret, I wanted that whole office. You know, when you have a property manager, there's usually more than one in the office. And so I would send a packet of something, right? I'm recording this just a few days before Valentine's Day. I would send a little packet of conversation hearts to that office. I would just send it with a little, hey, we're Zoom Drain. We do drain work for plumbers that don't like to or don't want to, or property managers. Maybe that was the message to property managers. That's it. But I want the whole office to know, like, where'd these hearts come from? What's a Zoom Drain? And my name's starting to be used in the office and starting to be referenced back and forth. And eventually they're going to call me. Or when I go to visit at some point, they're going to be interested in me. They're going to know who I am. Oh, Zoom Drain, yeah, I got your thing in the mail. You're the one that called, right? Yeah, let me see if he's in. See, that's how that works. So I'll explain to you exactly what I did with this list in real. I'll tell you, I wish I could show it to you. I'm not in the office I was in, but this is what I do. I had a list of 100, and then I'd start to work my list. And I wouldn't mass email because I'm not trying to get through the task. I'm trying to get from the task. So before I email number one, I want to look at I'm going to take a little bit of time. I'm going to look at the website, get to know them. Are they big or small? What kind of work do they do? Where do they work? I'm going to see their email and their phone. I'm going to jot all that down. I'm going to get to know them a little bit. I'm going to go on their Facebook and social media and see a little bit about them before I call, so that I can say, it looks like you do drain work already. I'm observant, right? And so, yeah, and so I'm not getting through the task. I'm not saying I emailed 100 people today. I might have only emailed 20 people today, but I know a lot more about each one. And do I want to get through the job, or do I want to get from it? I want these people to call me and like me and do business with me. And it's not going to happen today or tomorrow. You're going to take a little bit of time to build this out. So this is what I do. I would come in and say, okay, I'm going to email. I've got this event coming up that I know they might be interested in. So I'm going to email them and make them aware. And what's cool about the PHCC, if you're in the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling network, you can go to their website and they'll have events and you can email those events. So I would go and I would email a brochure and then a little bit about, maybe a little bit about me or maybe not, it just depends. But the most of the effort was to invite them to a function or to make them aware of something, some issue. And then I would just email that whole list. And it might take me this Tuesday and next Tuesday to get that done. But now I've got to know that list a little bit better, and I finally got through it. And then next I might do a text. Then I would text next, and then I would mail next, or whatever order. Depends on the event. Depends on that. You got to feel that out. And here's what would happen. So I've got this cold list that I'm working of 100 plumbing contractors. I'm going to get a warm response from some when I make a phone call. Oh, I got your candy. Oh, I got your flyer. And if they were friendly and there was warmth there, I would just print their front page of their website, and I put it on this wall. So I had a wall with these cork things that I could stick it in. And so I take it from my spreadsheet on my computer, and I would put a page, and I put it up here and put a little note. Talk to dispatcher Nicholas or whatever. And they said they might call us someday. And that's all I did. That was a win. I got a win. They were nice to me. They acknowledged me. They said they might use me someday. They said they don't like doing drain work. So then I'd go to the next one, and I would work through my list. And so it might take me a couple weeks to get through to email everybody. Then it might take, mailing is pretty easy. You just got to do addresses. That might take 2 days. It depends. But I got to go, I have to go down and get the hearts, and that might be a couple bucks. I might spend a couple $100 getting candy and some envelopes and pack it in there. And it might cost $1.50 or something to mail. That might take a little bit more time. But is it going to be memorable? Yes, it is. That's the whole point. I want to be remarkable. I want people to be remarking, where did this candy come from in the office? So again, as I interacted with that, or maybe some people would respond to the email, kind of crazy you call, we just lost our drain guy, or our jetter just broke, do you guys do jetter work? And so as I would get responses, they would go up on this wall here. And so as I looked at those, what was cool is that when I come into my office Tuesday morning, I could see positivity. I could see these are people that are warm. These are warm leads. They're not cold off of my list. I'm working my cold list, and these are becoming warm. And then what would happen is when someone actually called me for work, maybe it came right from the cold list, and they used me, or maybe one of those finally called me. But when they got hot and actually paid me money, then this is what I would. This is just me. This is what I did. I would print out their logo, and I had a laminator, and I would laminate their logo, and I'd cut it out, and I'd put it on this wall here. And I had those cork things, and I would put that on there. And so these people have actually used me. And so that's what I did every Tuesday. So next Tuesday I would come in, I would talk to my employees, I'd talk to my manager and shoot the breeze for a little bit. Probably around 9 o'clock, I would come into my office, and guess what I would see? The people that were nice to me and warm to me, the results of my work on my cold list, and then the people who actually used me. And we had a report on Service Titan. I could pull a report, and I could see any contractors, have they used me in the last week since I was here last. And I would see, we had 3 contractors use me. A new one. ABC Plumbing, are they on my, they're right here. I talked to them. And so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to call them. I'm going to say, hey, I saw that you used us. I want to make sure everything went well. I'm like, yeah, it was great. Great. Meanwhile, I'm printing out their logo, and I'm making a little laminate, and I'm putting it over here. And now these are my customers. These are my hot leads. Guess what else is happening? If I had a boss, they would come in and say, Dennis, what do you do all day? Let me show you. This is the list I'm working. These are all the people that have said were nice to me, and these ones are actually using me. Do you know what's amazing? I can go back to my office. I'll probably shoot a video and share it with you guys, but I can go back to my office. It's still there. I've got pictures of that. And I walked in the other day, and they hadn't really moved stuff around yet. And I'm like, those are all my customers. And it felt good. There was probably 30 different contractors that had used me off of this methodology. And the methodology was give, ask every once in a while. But I became a resource to these plumbing contractors. I let them know. I let them know what was going on in the industry. I let them know different things. And how did I know? I was connected to their association that represented them. That's how I got to, like, if I wasn't connected, I wouldn't know. So you're, as a business development person, you may know nothing about the industry. Well, the best way to find out what's going on is join an association and participate, get involved in the membership committee, and you'll discover what events are going on. You'll discover what issues are going on. And then that's what you can talk about. And then you can be a resource. Here's the deal. Contractors are busy. Most everybody's busy. And they don't really have time to be interrupted and take time. And so the way that you build that relationship is to become a resource. So when they see you, they know you have something for them. Something good's going to happen. Either you got something fun to share, or you got an event to let them know about, or there's some training that they need to know about. You become a resource. And eventually what happens is every relationship seeks equilibrium. If they've been nice, if you've been nice to them, they're going to come around and say, what now, what's in it for you? What do you do? And then you get to say, glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. We just do drain work for plumbing companies that don't like to or can't for some reason. And then we start talking about what I do, and they're more likely to use me. They're going to go talk to the receptionist and say, hey, I really like this dentist guy. He's been super nice. He comes in. He's not pushy. And let's give him a try. And then when they give me a try, within that week, again, I was only doing this one day a week. Like, if you're doing it if you're full time as a business development person, if they call today, it's today or no later than tomorrow. You got to make a phone call and say, hey, I saw you use this. That's so cool. I want to make sure it went well. And if I were you, I would suggest putting that up on the wall as a visible demonstration of the progress you're making on this list of 100 contractors. Does that make sense? And so, after a while, after 3 months usually, I would usually work this for 3 months, I would switch to property managers. So I would make a list of 100 property managers, and I would start to work that list. And I had this wall over here where I would do that, and I would track the same thing. And so I would do that for a couple months, and then I'd switch back to plumbing. When I was working on property managers, if a plumber used me, of course I would call and say how'd it go and all that. I would keep that going. And if something cool came up, like if Valentine's Day is showing up, let's say I'm working my property manager list and Valentine's showing up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get my candy and I'm going to send it to my hot list. If that's all. If I was working full time, everybody would get it. I'm talking one day a week. So now I'm taking care of my hot list, the people that actually use me. I'm making sure they're well taken care of. Then I'm touching base with my warm list and keeping that warm and trying to hopefully trigger some of those to get live. Then I come and work my cold list. And guess what happens when I've got 20 people on the board here and I only have 80 people? I need another 20. So I add another 20. Or maybe since I've got no response, I get a fresh 100. Does that make sense? So that's another cool thing about being a part of an association is an association usually has a larger, more accurate list of contacts than you can get through a mailing list company. So you can get that and freshen up your list. And so that's how that works. And that's what I did. And it was really successful. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Let's see how we're at. How many minutes are we going here? We've been going a little bit of time, but that's kind of what I did to build my business. When I did the rental car agency, I dropped off donuts, and that's just what I did. And I didn't really have a plan together. Plus, I was doing everything. I had to wash the cars, deliver the cars, fuel the cars up. I had to do all that. So all I did was I focused on. I would take donuts to collision repair shops near me. That's kind of what I did. The other thing that I built my business on, and I'm a big fan of, and I see a lot of people doing differently, is they go all over the place. I built my plumbing company on a 5-mile radius. Like, I served a 5-mile radius for like 20 years before I branched out. Like, and here's the reason, because it's, you know what, the techs don't like to drive very far. And this is kind of up to your owner too, but if you would focus on the area around you first, you're going to get a lot more in-persons done. Oh, maybe what I was going to say was, I don't go in person until I know they're warm. So I don't cold call. I don't waste my time for the most part. There's exceptions to every rule, but I'm not going to drive around in Seattle and cold call. I'm going to let my fingers do the work. I'm going to make phone calls. I'm going to make emails. I'm going to make texts. I'm going to mail. Then when they're warm, then I'm going to go visit. And so I did do that. Like in this summertime, I would take otter pops out. When I take my otter pops out to a cold call, I would freeze otter pops and take an igloo cooler of otter pops out to different companies. Would I take them to my cold list? No. I take them to my hot list and my warm list. And you can do that with almost anything. I did that with beer. Like when October would come around, I would get a 12-pack of Oktoberfest beer, and I would take it to my warms. I'd take it to my hots too. But that's what I would do. I wouldn't do that to my cold. They haven't even responded yet. They haven't even. They're dead so far. So I'm gonna do my in-person stuff with people that show life, that show promise. Does that make sense? And it worked. It worked. So yeah, in-person takes up a lot of time, and in-person is burdensome. It takes time on your part, and it also takes the time of who you're calling on. And so you want to make sure that's valuable. You want to make sure that that's good. And everybody's got their routine. Or what I was going to say was, it's good to be known for something. Like, I know a company that takes red vine licorice buckets out. That's pretty cool. And everyone knows it. And some people have notepads that they bring out, or they kind of become everybody depends on those notepads, or depends on those red vines. It's good for you to come up with something that is you, that identifies you as that's your unique thing. And if you can do that, then that's what you do in person, that unique thing. So even if you don't see, even if they're busy, or even if they're avoiding you, you can still drop something off and everyone knows you were there. Does that make sense? That's the power of having a brand, something in particular that you are known for dropping off. Mine was Otter Pops. Everybody knew I liked Otter Pops, and it's kind of a fun thing. It kind of takes you back to when you're a kid. Like, when was the last time you had an Otter Pop, right? It's just kind of a little fun thing. And it made a little bit of a scene. It was kind of fun. It was usually hot outside, and these were cold. It tasted good, and it only lasted a couple minutes or 30 seconds, and it was over. But everybody knew. So I recommend that you figure out something for your in-person visits that is unique to you. You don't get red vines, but someone else has got red vines. It just depends on your market. You'll know, especially if you join the association that is targeting your target audience. You'll discover what other people are doing, and don't copy them. Figure out what your thing is. So the next thing is, everybody seems to go after everybody wants the big name. If I could just get a big account, that would be great. Well, small accounts, my account, I was under $3 million for over 15 years. I was a small account until I got things figured out, and then we became a big account. And so you I would recommend highly that you make relationships with the little. Like everybody else is going after the big ones, and they're not getting them. The big ones are probably loyal to who they're loyal to, and just let that be. So you go after the little ones, the new ones, the little companies that just started and don't know yet, don't have relationships yet. Make relationships with them, and then be a resource to them. Help them get going in business. Help find out what their needs are. Here's the next thing. One of the value adds that you can give to people is connections. Like if they need a banker, if you're a member of an association and you know the other affiliates and associates, and you know one of the bankers, you can recommend a banker. Hey, I know a banker that's familiar with your industry. I know him personally. He's a good guy. Let me connect. You can pick up the phone and say, hey, John, Jim here needs a banker, and he owns a plumbing company, and you took care of this plumbing company. He might be a good fit. So you can be a valuable resource. Little companies are just getting started. They've got every hat in the world on. They got the marketing hat and the tech hat and the sales hat and the manager hat and the hiring hat and the firing hat and the HR hat, the crazy hat. They are busy, busy, busy. So one thing you can do is, if you know what their needs are, if you drop in once in a while and get to know them and be a resource, and not, if you're not a burden to them, but you're helpful to them, when you discover that they've got a need, just by connecting them to someone in the industry that can help them, can be a huge benefit, and you can become a dear friend and a dear resource to that company. And as they grow, so will your account. And that's how you get big accounts. You're probably new. If you're new to the market, you're probably not going to get the big account. It's already gotten and well taken care of. Other companies aren't stupid. They got the big account. They're going to take good care of it. So you going after that is not a waste of time, but you might be better served going after the little guys. Here's the thing about companies that already have someone. So what about the account that already has someone doing what you do? In Harvey McKay's book, he said it's always good to be second. Be second. Be second or third, because first will fail at some point. First will move. First will quit. Things will change. Something will happen, and the guy that's got the account will drop the ball or move or get sick, or something will happen. And if you have a friendly relationship with that person, you're going to get a phone call. That happened to me in real life when I had my big company. We had a contractor that was calling on us for years. Well, we were loyal to someone else, and he never asked for the sale. But finally, one day at an event, he says, "Hey, what's it take to get your business?" And I told him the truth. I says, "You know what? The guys love this one guy. They're really loyal to him. And someday when he fails, you're probably going to get a phone call." And there was a day when that day came. And it wasn't really a question. He had stayed in touch. He'd been friendly. He didn't always hit me. He didn't try to hit me up all the time. He was just present and friendly and positive, and he's a resource, and he was available. And it took years. And one day he got a phone call, and he got a big account. And that's how that worked. So this is a long haul. You're going to build this. You're going to build your reputation and your client base over time. It doesn't have to take that long. If I was doing it every day, it would go a lot faster. I only did it one day a week. So, and you might be a member of several associations. Remember, I worked on plumbing contractors for a while, and then I worked on the rental property managers for a while. If you're full-time, you might do one a couple days a week and one a couple days a week. Does that make sense? So you might be involved with a couple different associations, but I would suggest you get involved with a membership committee and then find out what's going on, and then use those things and get to know all the members of the association so that you can be a resource and a value add when you actually have conversations with the contractors and whoever you're calling on. Does that make sense? All right, next thing is meetings. It's good to, you can just stay busy, busy, busy. Like there's busy, busy, busy. How do you know? Busy gets old unless you got results. So for me, when I walked into my office, I could see my results. Warm, hot customers. Pretty cool. But you may not have that, or your situation may be different. But I would suggest that every week you have a meetup with either the membership committee or with your boss. And here's something that I've learned. You can't control results, but you can control activities. Like I can't force 12 contractors to call me this week. I can't say I need 12 contractors to call me. But I can reach out. So when my boss, if I had a boss, he'd say, what have you done this week? I'd say, well, here's my list of 100 that I'm working on. And last week I emailed everybody. And now Valentine's Day is coming up, so I emailed candy to all these people. And what are the results? We had 12 different plumbing contractors call us for service last week. That's the result. Now give me 3 months to continue this routine of working my list and getting to know my clientele. And when we do another check-in, it's going to be more. Now, I don't mean wait 3 months. I'm just saying it's going to be more, right? But every week you check in. This is the work I did. I can't control the results, but I can control the tasks. Last week I emailed. This week I mailed. This week I texted. This week I made phone calls. This week I visited. I went out. I had 12 out of the 100 that were nice to me. And so I spent 2 days and I went and I dropped off whatever it is to these 12 people. And what are the results? The results are in the data. And you can say, well, we had so many people call us. And that's business development. It's building relationships, but there can be a methodology to it that it's not just staying busy. It's actually having and what's fun about it is by doing it this way, it's rewarding. You start with a cold list, you warm some up, and then they get hot, become your customer. And if you do it that way, and I'm a fan of that, what happens is you see, oh, these are the people, and that they're top of mind. So when they call you, you're like, who again? Of my list of 100? No, you actually printed out their thing and put it up on the wall. And so you look at it and you get to know them. So that when they call, you're not a stranger and you're fumbling for, wait, I called you? You said I texted you? No. You don't do a mass email. Remember I said you don't get through it, you get from it. And so this is the work of the business development role in a company. And if you are Alex Hormozy, if you don't know who Alex Hormozy is, I suggest you follow him. He's probably right now one of the smartest business guys out there right now. Tactical. He's very tactical. And he suggests that if you're under, I think, $3 million, then 4 hours a day are devoted to marketing. So that's you. If you're a business owner with a small company under $3 million, are you spending 4 hours a day doing this kind of work? Are you wondering why you're not growing? Yeah, it's work. It's hard work. There's a company that was very successful here in Seattle. And I talked to the owner. And I said, how did you get this thing going? And he said, for the first year, I was never in the office and I beat the streets. He had partners running the business. He had partners in the shop doing the calls, answering the phone. His job was beating the street. And he had a giant business and he beat the street for a year to get that thing off the ground, full time. And so may I suggest that's what you do too. If you're a smaller company, may I suggest your first, there is nothing, who is going to develop the business? That's the job of the entrepreneur. And there's other things you can do too. I forgot one thing. One thing really powerful is you can comment on their social media. They put a Facebook post up about the work that they did. And who comments? Hardly anybody. But if you comment, they're going to see it. And they're gonna go, oh, why? Oh, and they're going to appreciate it because everybody wants comments, right? And reviews. And so by you doing that, it's another way to get noticed. And they're going to appreciate it so much because no one else took the time to do it. Does that make sense? So that's one thing you can do. For 4 hours a day, maybe one day you sit down and you just comment. You take your list of 100 and you go and look on their Facebook and comment. I did that last week myself. Last week I looked up I got through 9 companies. Only 4 of them, I had like an hour. And so I spent an hour on it, and I went through 9 companies. Only 4 of them had social media, and I commented on their social media, and 2 of them responded, thank you so much for the comment. Thanks for letting us know about that. We'll look into it. In 1 hour, I got 2 responses. Just warming that up. They haven't called and used me yet, but I'm warming up that relationship. So they're going over here. Does that make sense? And you can do the same thing. So if you're a small company and you don't have a business development person, 4 hours a day. 4 hours a day of social media, 4 hours a day to work this list. Write up the list and get to work on it. If your clientele is the general public, it's the same thing. You got to put postcards out. You got to put signs out. There's different things you can do. You can make a post. You can make a video and put it out. But his thing is 4 hours a day should be devoted to building your business. If you're a business development person, it's full time. And how do you do this? You follow the system. So I built this little chart here. I built this little chart, and I can put the name on here, and how many mailers did I put out, how many social media put out, how many emails, how many texts, how many phone calls, how many gifts, how many in-persons, and then any results. And I had 2 results in that effort. And so now you have something to show for it. You can show for your work, and you can see the results, and you can see what's most effective. So that's my take on the business development role in a company. And I love it. It's been good to me. It does work. And so I suggest you join your association and then get to know everybody there and get to know what's going on, and use that as the common ground builder of a relationship. And do not ask for the sale over and over and over. Give, and every once in a while, they're going to ask you about you, and that's your time to shine. And it won't be long until you're building your business and you got great results, and you'll be convicted of this method as much as me. All right, good luck out there.